Hey guys, this is my 1983 Ford Bullnose, and I put power windows in this thing a while back in the front, which isn't too hard to do, but what I want to do is put power windows in the back, and that's a little bit trickier. So anyway, that's what this video is about, putting these power windows in the back. Spread out over a couple days here, getting this done, so it's going to kind of be clipped together, but you'll get the idea. So let's get started. Okay, so we got to pull the door panel off, and so it's just some screws. Get that off of there. Also, don't break the door panel because they are virtually impossible to replace. Okay, so once you get to this spot, we got to get the old cranker out, so we got to grind these two rivets off and this one right here. And so grind them off, and then we can get the old crank out of the way. So I ground those off. I just used an angle grinder and a flap disc, which throws sparks everywhere and maybe not the best, but it's fast and convenient. So I'm just gonna knock those out, those rivets out, and cranker is free. You can slide it out of the track on the bottom of the window. There we go. That's out. And be careful of your window so it doesn't. This one's pretty tight, so it's going to stay up, but just be careful the glass don't fall and break. Okay, this one's out. Okay, so these are rear window actuators out of like a 94 to 97 Ford. These are very hard to come by as well, but they do work for these trucks. The arm is the same length, which is what you need really, is that the arm's the same length. These are designed to go in trucks. They go in like this, but so this one is actually for the driver's side. But the problem with these Bullnose Fords is the lock mechanism is up here, and then it runs across. That's what this bar is right here. It's running across the door like this over to the latch side. So if you put these in here like they're meant to be, the motor is in the way of the lock, or the lock's in the way of the motor, one or the other. And so to remedy that situation, if you put the driver's side in the passenger side and you flip it over like this, then the motor's on the bottom, and there's nothing down here in the bottom of the doors, so there's all kinds of room for the motor to go. All you have to do is flip it over, and then you swap the motors so that it's facing the other way, because normally the motor itself would be over here like this. So you just swap the motors and you put them in upside down, and they'll work. The really key to this whole deal is where this pivot point is, because you need this pivot point to be in the same spot that it was on the manual actuator, so that the window will go up and down smoothly, all the way up and all the way down. If you get this in the wrong spot, then maybe it'll go up and down, but it won't roll all the way down. And I've seen some guys say, yeah, they can get them so they only go, but they stay up 3 inches or something. Well, that's because this is not in the right spot and the arm's not the right length. So this is really important. So what I've done is, this is just a little template of, basically it's a template of this right here. This, whatever, the mounting frame, I guess, if you want to call it that. And these holes and this pivot point are the same on this as they are on the manual crank 80 to 86, well, 83 to 86 rear door actuators. It's the same, the holes and this pounding point. So I made this little template. As you can see, it's the same here. And so this is how you do it. Ready? This is important. So these are the holes for the manual crank, and it's in here at kind of an angle like this. So you line up these holes like this, and I'm just using a silver Sharpie. And this right here is the pivot point. That silver dot represents the pivot on the arm. Now with these motorized ones, they're in here like this, or well, like this. But they can't sit at an angle like this because when the window comes down, it'll hit the motor. So it needs to be sitting more straight like this. But it really doesn't matter so long as the pivot point is in the right spot. You got plenty of gear here to make the window go up and down. So what I've done is I take my little template, and now I line up, make sure my pivot point's in the right spot. And now I'm just putting this on here and lining it up so that the mounting frame is going to be straight up and down so that the motor's back here and out of the way of the window. And I'm just going to mark these 3 holes right here. Now I can drill these 3 holes and rivet that in, and it'll be in the right spot. Okay, so we got our holes drilled here in the door, which match our mounting plate. So we can stuff this in here. Okay. And then we got to put it in the window track. So just get it inside there. Okay, so I just slid it into the track on the window. You'll know what that's about when you get in there. Now I can bring this over, and I gotta line up my holes. So I can line up, I'm gonna line up the top hole first. So I'm riveting this in with some 3/16 inch pop rivets. The holes in that frame are 1/4 inch, but if you stick a 3/16 in there and you rivet it tight, it's not going to go anywhere. And I'm putting a washer on the back side, which also is going to help hold that thing on there. So it's a little tricky one-handed here. Gotta make sure I get it in the right hole. And then are you still filming? Mm-hmm. Okay, it slid out of the track, so I just gotta put it back up here on the track. Whoa, whoops, slid it too far. Okay. So, rivet in the hole. Okay, maybe I can hold that there while I sneak around with a washer on the back side there. Oh, where's my arm fit? Oh, don't fall. Don't fall. There we go. You'll have to come over here. Okay. Got my arm wedged in there. Hopefully it'll come out. So I'm going to put this top rivet in, and then it'll hold it. Okay. Switch. Okay, so the top rivet's in there. So now it's holding. So now I'm just gonna rotate this window down until my holes line up. Pretty close here. And then I can put these other 2 rivets in. This one goes here. Holes kind of. Okay, so Now, because I measured all that out and my center pivot is where, you know, in the center where I marked it, this should go up and down like nobody's business. I didn't actually check it yet, so if I screwed up, you guys can make fun of me. Let's see if it works. Goes down. Voila. Okay, so we got the actuators riveted in the back doors here, and we've tested them out and they go up and down like they're supposed to. So I got to work on running the wiring harness. You can see here's my switches for the power front windows, and so I got to take this door panel back off so that I can run the wire in here. I got to add another switch bank right here, and then of course get wire fed up through here and down through here all the way to the center pillar here and to the back window. So that's what we're going to work on. We're going to pull this door panel off so we can get the wires fished through this door and start getting the wiring harness in here. So here's my wiring harness that I've got built, and let's talk about this for a second. So those trucks, if you don't know, they have for the electric windows, they have a standalone harness that just goes right across the dash under the dash pad. It goes from the driver's door to the passenger door. And essentially it looks like this part of it here. That's the double switch in the driver's door. It goes through the door in and then across the dash and runs out into the passenger door. And that's basically what this is here. This one obviously is set up a little different because it's going from the driver's door to rear window and then across to the other rear window. So I built this harness. I basically made this harness out of 2 of the standard electric window front door harnesses. I had to do a little reworking because for the most part, you know, the driver's switch, it just goes to the window motor in the door, and I actually needed it to go to the window motor in this rear door. So I had to add in, use the wire, you know, get power all the way back to here off the switch, and then the secondary switch is teed off and it goes over to the other side. So like I said, I made this harness out of essentially 2 regular window harnesses, which once you kind of figure out how the circuit works, it's really not that difficult, and a guy could build one of these just with spools of wire. I actually felt kind of bad after the fact that I cut 2 of these up because these are a little bit difficult to get, and you know, they sell for like $500 on eBay just for the wiring harness, and I chopped up 2 of them to make this. But anyway, that's the road we're on, so that's what happened. But I do have it. You see those pink wires sticking out right there? Those are the door lock wires. So I do have this set up to put power door locks in the back doors as well, and we'll see if we get that far or not. I don't have power door locks installed in the front doors yet, although all the wiring and switches is there. All I have to do is put the actuators in, which I do have. So that's just a matter of riveting the actuator in the door and hooking up the wire in the front. But I did wire this for put power locks in the back. That will require some modification. So I don't know if I'll get to there in this video or not, but we'll see. But anyway, this is the wiring harness. Like I said, if you have access to pull one out, you can modify it to work for the back. And it's really, like I said, once you understand the circuit, it's really not that difficult. That switch right here, this is a brand new plug and switch from LMC, because the one that was on here was burnt, and it had a short in it, and so it worked intermittently, and then it wanted to catch on fire because it was shorting out. So I just went ahead and ordered a whole new harness plug and switch from LMC and soldered it in, and that's good. So you can still buy those, and they're not that expensive. Like, well, the switch is expensive. The switch is like $50, but the harness is only like $9 or something. Pretty cheap. And they do sell the harnesses for these ends also, but these were in good shape, so I didn't worry about that. But anyway, that's just a little bit on the harness. This is the part I got to fish through the driver's door and through the rubber boot like that that's there. And then all of this will come down the side of the truck under the carpet going across to the other side. So we'll go pull that panel off and get started. Okay, panel's off. We can see about running some wire. I got the trim pulled off here, and I got that vent pulled out. This plug here, this is the power windows. This is the power window plug for this door right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna unplug this, and I'm gonna stuff all that back through and pull that boot out this way out, get it out here and try to run the wires through the boot and then shove them all back at the same time. And if I do it that way, I might be able to do it without having to take this plug off of the new wire. I mean, it's not the end of the world. These come apart pretty easy. It's not the end of the world if I do have to take it off, but I'm gonna see if I can just unplug that, pull it out, and fish it through and then shove it all back. So got to get these unplugged, which is, they're usually fairly stubborn, and they're 40-year-old plastic and they break. This one's been apart recently, so maybe it'll come apart. Got it apart. So this is a speaker wire, which I'm not even using. Here's the other end of it, because I have a separate wire ran for these speakers. So I might cut that out of there while I got this out. But this was my plan. Let's cut this zip tie right here. And where's the screwdriver? Let's take the ground wire off so we're not yanking on it. If you're wondering why this door is red and the inside is army green, it's because this truck started its life as a military truck. And then the second owner got it and painted it red, and I got it after that. So that's why it's green. They painted around the door panels. They just taped them off and painted it. They didn't pull them off to paint the truck. But they did a pretty good job of it, all things considered. Okay, this is the window motor switch. I'll leave that hooked up. And yeah, let's just pull all this back through here. Oh, there's my speaker wire going in there. That might cause a problem. I don't know, we'll see. Okay. All right, so here's where we're at. I'm gonna cut this tape off. I'm gonna eliminate this speaker wire here. I don't need that set up. Get it out of the way. Just less wires going through here. And then fish this other one through. Okay, so I'm gonna pull the end off of this to get it through. I can't get it out. So what I've done is I've made a little wiring diagram that matches up with the plug here so that I can put these back in where they need to go. But these come apart real easy. All you got to do is take a pick or a screwdriver or something and just push it in right there and get that popped up. And you pull that center out. And then once you get the center pulled out, there's just these little tabs, and you just pull down on the tab. Don't break it off, but just pull down on the tab, you can use your fingernail probably, and then the wires slide right out. So they come apart real easy, but there's not enough room in that rubber boot to slide this all the way through. So I'll pull the wires out and I'll just tape them, and then probably might tape a zip tie to the end of it so I can pull it through easier, but we'll get that done. Okay, back at the door. Got this taped up here, and now should be able to slip this up through here a lot easier. I taped that zip tie on there so I could pull it through. Look at that piece of cake now. Okay, so let's cut this back off of here, and maybe I can unwrap it since the end of it right there. Okay, now, I gotta go get my wiring diagram, but we'll put that plug back together. Okay, got that all fished through there, through the boot, and coming out here. This is the front power windows locks, so I plugged that back in, got that taken care of. This is my wiring now going to the back doors. So that's gonna go run down here, the outside of this here, and then tuck in under the carpet and in the groove here back to center pillar. Got this zip tied up. Here's my switches. Right along with these switches will get mounted in the door panel. Again, these are my power locks, which I can see that this wire's not quite long enough to reach because it's got to get over to here, but whatever. Splice a piece in if we decide to do that. Ground hooked back up, speaker hooked back up. So the next thing is, I guess I'll take all this trim off, and I got this one off already, but take this trim off and see what we got to do about laying the wire in here. Come back in here. Gonna have to drill some holes to get into this pillar, and then I got to drill a hole here and in the door to run the boot. So I'm gonna have to take this door off to drill these holes, I think. I wonder. Shoot, I could do the door hole. Can't quite do the pillar hole though without taking the door. Well, I don't know, maybe. I could reach in here at kind of an angle. I might have to investigate that, because that'd be nice if I didn't have to take the doors off. I know that. So anyway, kind of get this tore out and get the wire laid in here, and we'll see where we're at. Okay, so I got this center pillar trim tiller off, and look what's down there. A plug. So that's cool. And then I got to thinking, I gotta fish this wire and plug it in. It might not be the worst thing in the world if the guy had an access hole about right here, and if I drill a hole here, so I have just some room to work for plugging it in and stuff like that, I could drill straight through and drill out this side, and then I could drill that pillar from the inside out, and I can drill the door coming the other way, and then I won't have to take the doors off. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drill an access hole right here and then drill through there out. But let's grab the wire. Okay, so this kind of give you an idea of how I'm gonna run this wire. Be coming from over there, plugged in, and then run under the carpet in the channel, pop up right here, and then all this tail here will go in this plug. Pop that plug out, and it'll go in there, and then the plug will be wrapped up inside that pillar. Door wiring will come through the boot into here. And this I'm just going to put under the carpet. This carpet, it's plenty loose enough to I'm just going to run it right along the back edge of the seats, right over, and then presumably there's another plug in that pillar over there, and I'll do the same thing. Drill another hole, drill through the door, and do all that over there. So I guess the next step probably is start drilling holes. Woo, we did it. More holes to drill. Okay, so got our wires strung. Holes are drilled. I was able to drill the holes. Right there. So able to drill the holes without taking the door off, so that was awesome. And then, yeah, so we got this one ready to be, it'll go in that hole and come up here. I got the other one run under the carpet. It's coming out over there. It'll go in that plug hole. And then I have my access hole there to plug them all in and stuff the wires down. So that all worked really good. So I guess the next step is get this wire tucked in underneath of there and then run the door wires. Okay, so we got the door wiring here for this side door. So I gotta fish this through here from the inside out the hole here and then in the pillar. So see how that goes. And then gotta get that motor plugged in at some point here, which would be a little bit interesting. But and then I'm gonna run the switch up out this is the hole where the crank was, and run the switch up out that hole so that it's not interfering with the window here. So anyway, all this has to go in here, and with skinny arms, which easier said than done. Let's see, just a matter of finding the spot where it works. Okay, so we're getting that through there, and then this has to go through this hole in the pillar, so you should be able to see it coming out there. The nice part is the hole in the door is 2 inches and the hole in the pillar is 1.5 inches, so you can run everything from the door side out, and it's pretty easy to shove through because the hole is bigger. So yeah, got the boot in, got those hooked up, so these can get plugged. Well, we can just do that now, I guess. Plug these together. Make sure we're doing it the right way. And then all this can just get stuffed inside the pillar. And it can just live in there, out of the way. And then I have to, over here, I gotta find the motor wire. Here it is, and plug in the motor to the motor wire. Should have made these wires longer, I'll tell you that. Switch out here, and we'll do the other side, and then we'll see if it works. Okay, so we got the wires ran. So this is our power windows for the front. This is our power windows for the rear. So we can plug this in. How this goes right here, like so. Okay, and then this is the power for all of this, and it's the same. This blue wire here is coming out of the fuse box. This is the power for the front windows. So I'm just going to tie into that same wire for the power for all the back. All this is going to get stuffed up inside of here when we're done. But for now, I'm going to run this up over top of the emergency brake here. And then if I can get a hold of it up here somewhere. Okay, so run that over here, and I don't need the label anymore. And then I'm just going to splice in using one of these little deals, which, you know, they'll work in here. they're not the best, but when you're inside and they're not getting weather on them, they'll do the job. So that's the power hooked up. We got our ground hooked up. Now in theory, everything is hooked up and it should work. I hope it does, because if it doesn't work, then oh my gosh, what's wrong? Okay, so these are the front windows. So that one works, this one works. All right, I don't know which one of these is which. Shut that off. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay, so it's not working. There's no power to the door, which if you don't actually get the wire in the connector, it's hard for it to get power. So oops. But the good news is that's an easy fix. Would you shut the key off? Got the splice better. Have power to the switch now, so here we go. Let's see if it works. There we go. Down, up. Check the other side. Down, up. That's working. Check the switch here. Cool. Goes all the way up. And it goes all the way down also. How about that? Okay, it works, so that's good. So now all that's really left is to put all the trim back on, put it back together. We'll stuff those wires up out of the way, and then power windows. Okay, so I think this is buttoned up. I did go ahead and put a door lock actuator in this door while I had it apart, because it's down in there. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. Oh, you can kind of see it down in there. Anywho, I had it apart, and the hole for it is already drilled in the door, so all I really had to do was just put it in. So I put that in, and then I hooked up my wire, these wires here, which are the wires that go to the back doors. I don't know if I'll put them in the backs today or not, but anyway, I'm ready to put the door panel back on. So get the switches hooked up. Got new push tabs on the back of the door panel. Yeah, this should go back on and button this door up. Okay, I'm ready to put this door panel back on. I went ahead and I was a little bit, you can't get these door panels anywhere except a junkyard, and you're not going to find them there either. So, geez, I was a little hesitant to cut these, but it's all part of the project, I guess. So, they have a bump out here for the crank, so I cut it off flush, and then you kind of see it here. And then I cut it out so that the switch would fit right there in the hole. So I think it'll be all right. And yeah, this is ready to go back on. Okay. Cool. Hey, it's done. So got the bank of switches here, and got that put together a little better. Let's turn the key on. So, driver's side, and then and then if you look through to the other side, I did go ahead and put the power locks in here while I was at it, because now was the time. And I do have the power hooked up to the back doors, but I should have probably done that before I did the windows, because it's a whole ordeal. So power locks in the front, not in the back at the moment, but that really wasn't the purpose. The purpose was, you know, these power windows, front and rear. So we got that working. Perfect.